With all these brand spanking new suits being revealed in the No Way Home trailers and teasers, that small indie movie coming out this month, you might have heard of it. And with the high probability that the movie will bring some more Spider-Man to the MCU, if you know what I mean, we thought now would be a good time to go through the evolution of every Spidey suit seen on the big screen. From Maguire to Holland and beyond, this is the evolution of the Spidey suit. Spider-Man was first drawn by legendary comic book artist Jack Kirby, with his original look reportedly hugely different from the Spider-Man we know today, with the character fitted with a Captain America-style half-mask and a gun, which Spidey would use to shoot his webbing from. To be honest, it's kind of hard to imagine Spider-Man with a gun. Now, Steve Ditko then came in to redraw the character for Spidey's debut, giving him his classic full-face mask with large white eyes, a web pattern all over the body, webbing under the arms, and web shooters instead of a gun. The style was tweaked once again in 1966 by John Romita Sr. to give us the suit that we're more familiar with. The costume has changed multiple times in the comics, but as this is a video on the movie suits and not the comic book suits, we're going to put a pin in it today and move on to Tobey Maguire's suit in Sam Raimi's 2002 movie.
I decided to take a different approach and make it as real as possible, so that the audience believed that they could believe in this hero, in this man.
Raimi wanted the suit to convey the essence of the transition that occurs between him being a young man going through puberty and being a superhero. The job to create Maguire's suit was tasked to James Acheson, who for the most part followed the typical look of the Romita design in the 60s and stayed fairly faithful to the comic books, but he did make a handful of changes. For example, the eyes, which became more triangular in shape. Acheson was also more of a fan of the darker tones, as opposed to the bright red and blue seen in some Spidey suits, and also decided to go with an enlarged logo on the chest and red stripes going down the sides of the legs. The suit was also given more of a scale texture, with the webbing laid in a pattern on top. Tom Holland has admitted that he is jealous of how Maguire's suit got damaged and tattered and had that real lived-in feeling, something he believes his MCU suit lacks. The physique of the suit was made to be flexible in performance and muscular and strong in appearance, but not so muscular that he looked like a weightlifter, but more in the realm of a swimmer. But it also had to match Maguire's body as well as his stunt performers. The suit was a one-piece, including a mask, and an alternate suit was created for the scenes where Maguire takes the mask off but is still wearing the rest of the outfit. Now, to create the Maguire costume, the actor was covered in a skin-tight suit, with him covered in layers of different substances to create its shape. Maguire was also subjected to a full-body life cast, as well as molds of his head and hands to make sure that the custom muscle suit was going to be an accurate fit. But there was a slight issue. Maguire is claustrophobic and found the experience exceptionally uncomfortable. But because the actor was such a professional, he didn't want to burden the costume design team with his fears. However, he didn't have much of a choice when he began to black out while his body was wrapped in a shell of plaster bandages hardening to create the body mold. And so the production decided that it was probably best that he didn't wear the suit all that often. Now for the head, the team designed a spandex hood that not only fitted the actor's face to give the definitive Spider-Man look, but also allowed the actor to talk and, most importantly, breathe. Underneath the hood, the crew created a hard shell to make the shape of the head look better and to keep the mask tight while keeping the wearer comfortable. The lenses were designed to have a mirror look, but also be translucent so the actor could see through them. But they came across another problem when they would start to fog up. To combat this, the team developed a clip arrangement using magnets to allow the lenses and frame to be removed from the head shell without having to pull off the spandex hood in between every shot. In total, the first movie went through 60 suits alone, which unsurprisingly kept the costume design team very busy. But for the second movie, the costume was basically the same, only with a number of subtle changes, with the colors being a touch richer and bolder, while the lines of the emblem were also larger. The symbiote suit in Spider-Man 3 basically follows the trajectory of the comics, first becoming Spider-Man's suit before turning into Venom. However, unlike the comics, which has an original design being plain black with a large white spider on the front and back, The Venom suit in the movie was literally just a black version of the Maguire suit, as the producers rejected the more comic book accurate design. Now for Andrew Garfield's 2012 amazing Spider-Man movie, costume designer Kim Barrett was given a pretty difficult and admittedly vague task. Make the suit different to the original movie's design, but not too different, and make it similar to the original movie suit, but not too similar.
Spandex. Everything. Spandex.
So the end result was one that had similarities to Maguire's suit, but with some callbacks to Mark Bagley's spectacular Spider-Man look. The biggest change that the series wanted to emphasize is that they wanted the suit to look like one a teenager would design, as opposed to the admittedly quite professional-looking suit from the Maguire movies. The movie's aptly named director, Mark Webb, also said that he wanted a design that would make the body longer and more lithe, more of an acrobat, someone incredibly agile, and the legs of the spider, the symbol on the chest, were something we used to emphasize that. Now, one thing Webb, the director that is, wanted to do was go back to the comic book references and reinterpret more of a classic Spider-Man with a modern slickness to him. Another change came with the webbing on the suit, which was made to be darker, but they also had to make a number of different suits with different color palettes for lighting reasons. For the actual production of the suit, the crew had the luxury of more advanced technology, so the suit's webbing was cut by computers instead of being hand-cut like the Maguire version. Like with Maguire, the suit had to be custom-made to Garfield's physique specifically, but instead of having a claustrophobic experience like Maguire, Garfield was given a whole body scan done in a computer with a mannequin that was exactly Andrew Garfield's size then being built, with the design team then sculpting around that. For Amazing Spider-Man 2, the suit underwent some grander changes, with the suit being more streamlined and, as fans were quick to notice, strangely emphasizing Spidey's crotch. The web shooters were also modified, along with the fabric, which was made to be more stretchy, but also more comfortable for the actor to wear, and the suit was also altered so Garfield could actually go to the restroom in it. But the biggest change was the eyes, which were made to be bigger and more expressive, so the character could emote through the mask. Webb also wanted the eyes to be in keeping with the ultimate look, but also be something unique to the movie and Garfield's Spider-Man. Now, in the MCU, Spider-Man has already gone through a number of different suits, including the Iron Spider suit and the famous Night Monkey suit.
Night Monkey!
Most of which were designed by or reliant on Stark Industries, which differs from the comics, which for the most part sees Spidey as more self-reliant. The suits in the MCU are also rife with cutting-edge technology, which is similar to the current comic books, and has the greatest amount of gadgets and gizmos Spidey has ever had on screen, meaning that Peter is better equipped with global threats as opposed to villains in his local neighborhood. However, in terms of aesthetic and design, Marvel wanted to be more comic accurate in a traditional sense than any suit so far, with Joe Russo describing Spidey's suit in Civil War as a slightly more traditional Steve Ditko-influenced suit. This is represented in the colors, which are much bolder and more typical to the red and blue style seen in the early comics. But one of the major ways they made the suit more comic accurate was by providing the suit with mechanical, expressive eyes, which means that they could flick between the looks of the Bagley and Romita style eyes in an instant. The spider emblem on the chest also apparently shrunk in the wash, with it being much smaller and also a drone in comparison to the other Spider-Man suits. But one of the most prominent parts of the suit to return was the underarm webbing seen in the Ditko drawings. To apply this to the suit was trickier than the production first thought, and it took a day and a team effort to attach the webbing to the suit. But according to costume designer Louise Frogley, the hardest part of the Homecoming suit was the texture, with the team experimenting by printing on a dyed textile. The dots we were printing looked a bit like a ping pong bat. If you got the dots too high, too raised, they would collapse. If they were too close together or too far apart, they would strobe. The dots drove me nuts for weeks and weeks. The suit is also famously skin tight, and while a digital double is used in a number of scenes, Holland would have to be in a suit for hours at a time performing the stunts, and would have to drink a frappuccino by placing a straw through his eye hole.
Come on, man, please.
Holland was also scanned to make sure the suit fit while he was motion captured for the digi-double. For the moment in Homecoming where Tony takes back the suit, Peter reverts to a more cobbled-together suit, as it's more realistic to be a suit created by a teenager with limited resources, with the cut-off sleeves likely a reference to the Scarlet Spider.
What's with the crappy costume?
There are rumors that Holland will get a brand new suit for No Way Home, one which may even have a Doctor Strange theme, but for that we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, yes, you do kind of see it in the trailer, but let's be real, you never know with Marvel these days, that might not be Tom Holland in there. But of course, the suit that differs the most is the one worn by Miles Morales in Into the Spider-Verse, which had Miles don the black and red that he wears in the comics as opposed to the Peter Parker red and blue. The design for Miles' suit is basically in keeping with the one from the comics, and they look pretty darn similar, with it also being able to adapt to Miles' exclusive powers, such as going invisible and using electricity. However, there was one big change in terms of the design of the suit, with the movie suit having an altered chest stripe where the spider emblem was spray painted on to fit into Miles' character that we see in the movie. And it also must be said, it looks pretty darn cool. I mean, look at that thing! There are also multiple other Spidey suits worn by other characters across the Spider-Verse, which I would love to talk about, but I'm running out of time, and if I don't hurry, then the editor's gonna start playing the Oscar music. But hey, feel free to let us know your favorite suit in the comments below. I mean, mine personally is the Maguire one, but that might just be nostalgia talking. I'm very old. Now let's end on a piece of trivia, shall we? Did you know that Spider-Man's original colors were actually orange and purple instead of red and blue? However, the original colors were reportedly axed due to possible printing issues with the different colors in the cheap paper they'd be printed on.